It's the Business Lunch on 720 WGN. Thank you, Steve. Steve Bertrand here on the Wintrust Business Lunch. It is a Wednesday afternoon and a beautiful day on Michigan Avenue, the day after the presidential election. You heard earlier on WGN Hillary Clinton give her concession speech. You heard President Obama a short time later saying that we are all rooting for President Trump's success, President-elect Trump at this point, but by next January, President Trump. All right, so I'm watching last night, and when I see it's pretty clear that Donald Trump is going to be elected president, one of the people I thought about was Ahmed Rehab, who is the executive director on the Council of American Islamic Relations here in Chicago. And, I consider him a friend of mine. He joins us on a phone line now. Ahmed, welcome back to the Business Lunch.
It's a pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Sure thing. So I was thinking of you. What were you thinking about?
I was thinking about America, to be honest with you, and the stunner that we experienced last night. I still can't wrap my head around the idea of President Donald Trump, to be quite frank with you. It's not a surprise to Chicagoans. 90% of us voted against Donald Trump. It's not a surprise to the Muslim community either, which I would assume is around that number, voting against him. But for those who may not understand what I'm talking about, this is a man who set aside all of the issues I have with him as a Muslim, him calling for banning Muslims from coming into this country en masse,
right.
Carrying IDs, extreme vetting just based on religion alone, all of these unconstitutional, un-American things. But add to it, as an American, I am concerned for my country. I've never felt like a third world country before. And the reason why I do is we've just voted in a hollow, inexperienced, bombastic billionaire into power just because he was good at boasting, just because he was good at scapegoating, just because he was good at fear-mongering. That's what happens in third world countries.
All right, so I would explain for me, or take me into your world a little bit, because when you're talking about this, the Muslim ban and the ID cards, and when the Muslim ban to me is just betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of the country out there. But when I hear you saying it, my first reaction, tempered now by time, was like, well, he's not really going to do that. That's really not going to happen. And it's easy for me to say that because I'm not one of the guys he's talking about. I would imagine for you it's a very personal reaction.
He may not be able to do that indeed, simply because it is unconstitutional. But it isn't so much...
Which is it's a very simple, right.
Right, but it's the issue. The concern is not with the crazy things that he says, but what lies underneath and what he is capable of doing. The extreme craziness may not occur, may not happen, but other things will that are equally problematic, equally discriminatory, equally hurtful to American citizens who have done nothing wrong other than choose a faith that he doesn't like. And these things, and this is where my concern comes in, may not make as many caustic headlines as the Muslim ban, and therefore may happen in relative silence. Not silence in our community, we'll be feeling them, but silence outside of it.
What is your bigger concern? Things that he does, or things that others might feel enabled to do? You know what I'm saying? I mean, are you worried more about his official action or the mood of the country that follows that?
Both. And let's start with the rhetoric. His rhetoric on Islam criminalizes Islam and Muslims. His insistence on appending Islamic to outright crime, like murder, Islamic terrorism, etc. His talking about the community as if it is some kind of guest worker, second-class citizen community that isn't as American as he is, that needs to prove its Americanness by acting as an appendage to law enforcement, even though these are, grandmothers and working fathers and everyday people who have never signed up to be, law enforcement agents simply because they're of the Muslim faith and some criminal out there happens to share that faith. Those types of things as far as the rhetoric. And when this rhetoric occurs at the top, it's going to happen at the level of the state, at the level of counties and municipalities. You're going to see this within the Republican Party, and it will contribute to an uptick in hate crimes. Every time an elected official goes publicly with this kind of rhetoric, we see an uptick in hate crimes on the ground. That's one thing as far as rhetoric, but then the actions as well.
Right.
He will appoint people who are hate mongers who hate Islam, who hate Muslims, and they will do everything in their power to target this community of ours.
Well, but Ahmed, wait a minute. So we're short on time, but I think I want to call you on that a little bit. Do you think he's going to appoint people because he thinks they're hate mongers?
No, but they happen to share his mindset. They happen to scapegoat other communities as a way to make America great.
One other thing, and I'm sorry to keep rushing you here, but President Obama, I introduced you by saying that we are all rooting for his success. Are you rooting for Donald Trump's success?
If success means returning to the principles of America and the ideals of America, then absolutely. But if success means succeeding in his own hateful rhetoric and his scapegoating of communities, Latinos, African Americans, women, the disabled, even veterans who happen to die or be captured, then absolutely not. I root for America. He better get on the side of America, otherwise I will not be rooting for him.
Are you personally fearful at all?
No. Fear is not in my DNA. I only fear God Almighty. However, I have deep concerns. I am deeply shocked at this outcome. I think the world is watching and laughing to a great extent, and that pains me to no end. But, life moves on. He is the president, or the president-elect, and will be president of the United States, and we have to deal with it. We have to organize. We have to defend ourselves, advocate for our principles, and try to make America the healthy, safe, united country it ought to be, with or without him.
Ahmed, next time we talk, it'll be a little more pleasant on the topic, okay?
I hope so. Thank you very much for having me.
Nice to talk to you very much. It is the Wintrust Business Lunch here on 720 WGN.